Hey, good evening, friends and family. This is Bo Coleman speaking again. It's been a minute. Hey, listen, I'm sure you've heard about this Nolan Wales case where a young black man, I guess you call him a man, he was only about 18 years old, I believe, maybe 19. He had just finished high school. At 25, had a promising college career. Went out with, I believe it was four white friends to an island that you could only get to by boat. But he didn't return with them. Now everything's under investigation. We don't know what happened, but I can tell you we have a pretty good idea. At least I do, because after you've been around so long, you know how people behave. I was raised by my big brother. His name was Nolan. Also, we called him Jackie, and he pretty much let me do what I wanted to do. Within reason. But I wasn't a bad kid. I was a good kid, so he didn't have to keep an eye on me too much. But if ever I wanted to go somewhere and I was to be the only black person there, he'd put his foot down and say no. I remember some people asked me to go to on I think it was spring break. Uh, oh, there you go. They wanted me to go to Cancun, and I would have been the only black person in the group, and he just definitely said no. He said there's certain things you don't do as a black man, and one of those things is you don't be the only black person in the room, so to speak. Uh, Now I made a video some months back about black men in particular being careful not to be alone because some strange things were happening back then. There were people coming up hung or different things, and it was always ruled as suicide, even though there was no evidence of suicide. In fact, one of the guys who they called suicide was had two broken legs. Now, how do you commit suicide with two broken legs? That beats me. But as I mentioned, my brother would never allow me to go anywhere where I was the only black person going. He would always ask the question. And he wasn't being racist, he was just being cautious. Because there's this thing, and I can't quite put my finger on it, some sort of spirit that a certain part of the population harbors for whatever reason. And it could be someone you think is your best buddy. Your best buddy. But the truth of the matter is, they're not your friends. So I'm telling all people, particularly young black men, or women too, because we saw that happen in Georgia, where a, a black lady was the only person in a sleepover, and in those sleepovers, she ended up dead. They say she fell off the balcony. But it's how does that happen? You know, and no one was held responsible. So I'm just saying, be careful. Be careful who you trust, because these people aren't always who you think they are. So with that said, just be careful, be mindful, stay woke. All right, have a great one.